Morning, YouTubers, or afternoon, or evening, or whatever it is your time. My name's Steve. Today I'm going to show you how I fix brake drag on this '03 Silverado, which apparently is a pretty common problem with these trucks, especially if you switch brake components, the booster or the master cylinder. A lot of people's having trouble with it. I see a lot of videos on YouTube, so I'm going to show you how to fix mine for nothing. That's it, nothing. No dollars, no cents. I don't have much sense, but I didn't spend any on this truck fix. So let's get started. I'll show you what I did, and maybe it'll help you out. This is my '03. Been a good old truck. Last year, the master cylinder went bad on it. And my wife was driving it, called me and said, hey, the brakes are messed up on the truck. So I took the car to her, brought the truck home, and sure enough, sitting at a red light or a stop sign, the pedal was just easing down where the master cylinder was bypassing. So I put a master cylinder on it, and a couple of weeks later, I noticed that the brakes felt like they were dragging. And the truck got parked for several months, and I recently got it back out again and decided that maybe the brake drag issue was bad hoses up front. So I just went ahead and did a complete front brake job, hoses, calipers, rotors, ceramic pads, and thought I had fixed the dragging issue. A couple of days later, it came back. So I'm like, what in the world is going on with this truck? Everything's new. So I watched a few videos on YouTube and decided to check the clearance between the end of the master cylinder and the brake booster where it goes. And there was no adjustment. Some vehicles have an adjustment right here on this pin that pushes out. That pushes in on the plunger of your master cylinder. That's what makes your brakes work. Some vehicles have an adjustment here. Some of them have it under the dash on the clevis where this push rod here actually connects to the brake pedal. This truck does not have any adjustment, none whatsoever. So the only thing I could figure was try to figure out a way to space the master cylinder away from the booster to see if that would fix my brake drag problem. And what I came up with were these little guys. Now these are little copper washers. They're banjo bolt seals. They go around on each side of the bolt that goes through a banjo fitting on a caliper. And when I changed the calipers, they luckily sent me an extra pack of these little copper washers, which were roughly, I don't have a caliper, but they're roughly a 1/16 of an inch thick. Okay? And I thought, well, since I got two of them, maybe I can put them in there between the booster and the master cylinder and space it out just enough to keep the brake drag away. So what I did was took them and I slid them right on the studs. They fit perfect right on the studs. And like I said, they're only a 1/16 of an inch thick, plus they're soft copper and they crush somewhat. And see how well they fit right on the studs? I mean, it's like it was made for it. But I put it together. I drove it around town for about 20 minutes through red lights, stop signs, you name it, traffic, all of it. I came back home and my brakes were as cool as they could be. They're not any hotter than the back brakes, and the front ones were the ones that were dragging. So apparently, from information I've gathered from YouTube, a lot of these aftermarket parts stores, especially chain stores, are selling inferior parts. And I guess they're coming from overseas and their specs are not anywhere near factory specs, okay? So apparently, this dimple that's made into this plunger is not hardly deep enough. So when you bolt the master cylinder on and snug it down with the nuts, the plunger is already being pushed in by the brake booster, and you don't even have your foot on the pedal. So that causes brake drag. Brake drag is bad on several levels. Number one, it creates a lot of heat. Hot brakes won't stop you. Okay? Number two is excessive component wear. You'll go through brake pads, rotors, maybe even calipers if you keep driving a vehicle with dragging brakes. The third one, right off the top of my head, is all that heat is going to start damaging stuff. And if you drive one around with the brakes dragging long enough and they get hot enough, it's going to start melting your seals, and that makes grease go everywhere. So now you got greasy brakes and maybe even a chance of catching on fire. So don't drive around with dragging brakes. Now, like I said, I just got back, I checked my brakes, they were cool. So I disassembled this so I could show you exactly what I did. It didn't cost me a dime, and it worked like a charm. I can't recommend this for you personally. It worked for me. That's probably not the correct way. The correct way would be to find a master cylinder that's got the correct specs for this tolerance between this pin and the plunger. But if you're like me, you don't have extra money to go through 14 master cylinders to try to get the right one. And since these trucks do not have adjustments anywhere, you're kind of at the mercy of the manufacturer. So I used these two copper banjo bolts, washers, put my master cylinder on, bolted it down, and it worked like a charm. So if you're having a draggy brake problem on your 2000, I'd say 2006 Silverado or Chevy truck, you know, you can try it. Especially if you've already got some banjo bolt washers, it's not going to cost you a dime, and it might just fix your problem. So that's about all I got today. I hope that helped somebody out. I know it worked for me, and I wanted to make this video to maybe help somebody else. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.